what's coming, so be warned. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. All my feet have come too far for you to tie up to the ground. Can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going now. No turning back around. Can't stop me.
Good afternoon, wheel-to-wheel viewers, and welcome to this Sunday afternoon for round 4 of Wheel-to-Wheel Season 12. This round sees us in Monza. It's in Italy, just a little north of Milan. It'll be a fantastic race this afternoon. And joining me in the comms box, I have Pagani. Welcome, Pagani.
Hey, Mitsuki, how are you?
Good, mate. How have you been out on the track this week?
Well, considering I only just started doing laps this morning, I think I'll be all right. Obviously, we're not setting the times that the top speed guys here are setting, but I think we'll be all right. How about you?
Not too bad, and good luck to you. I'm finding it a little inconsistent at the moment. Joining us on visuals this afternoon, it's Dodgy86. G'day, Dodge.
Mid, thanks mate. I am so chuffed to be here. This track has proven so difficult this week. It's a Porsche one make here for us. I'm not sure if it's the first time we've done a one make here, especially in a GR3. The Porsche is pretty good around here, but this track is just proving to make it really difficult to try and all get through turn 1 at the same time. Looking forward to see what these Div 1 aliens can do with it.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a track that I think not many people would not know. It was built in 1922. It was the world's third purpose-built motorway, and one of the oldest in Midland Europe. And the circuit's biggest event, of course, is the Italian Grand Prix. With the exception of 1980, the race has been hosted there since 1949, so it's had a long history of Grand Prix in Italy.
Awesome. Well, what say we kick these boys off, let them know the pit's open and they can get out there in Italy and enjoy the sun.
That sounds like a great idea, and we'll get this race underway. And out they go. Now, it is a bit tricky. Obviously, we have two races. We've got the sprint, which is 6 laps, so there shouldn't be any need for tyres or fuel for the first race. The second race will be 25 laps, and we'll get into that one a little later on in the end of the stream. But as they come out of the pits now and file into the chicane, you're dead right there, Dodgy and Pagani. It's a tricky little track. The first chicane is always a cause for a lot of excitement straight off the starting grid. If people don't leave themselves enough space, it kind concertinas, and there's nothing but chaos behind.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tracks where on paper it looks pretty easy, pretty simple. You know, there's only a handful of turns, but these turns, each one of them is a passing opportunity. So getting your entry and exits perfect is very vital to setting a good lap time and defending yourself around this track.
Yeah, and of course most of the turns are right-handers, so there's going to be a bit of tyre wear on one side of the car. We'll see how the guys cope with that, whether they can last or make their tyres last to keep themselves fast. But we'll just quickly go through the field as we speak, and we've got Goat, PLE Goat 13 in the Permobile leading the pack out, and right behind him we've got 13 Autosports Captain Lowside.
And then behind him we have Apex Humper in the AMS Excavation livery. Behind him we have the BWT L Plan, Scooter 82, Tombo in the Permobile, Fixer Chris in the Dragon's Den, and DJ Sefko in the 180 Embroidery. Again, Dragon in the Dragon's Den livery. No surprise there, it's kind of at the back of the pack. We've got Dale in AMS Excavations, again with Adam, and then KZ in this Quadrifolio, and then lastly but not least, we've got Seconds also in the Quadrifolio livery.
Yes, and they've just about all passed the start go now, so they're on their flying lap. They'll have about probably 5 laps, I believe, before the 10-minute qualifying session runs out. So we'll jump on board with, who do we say we're going to do? Maybe Fixer Chris, Pagani, if you want to.
Yep, so you just come into the second set of chicanes now. You want to brake just before the 100, keep the car in second gear. You want to really attack that first part of the apex. The track limits there are pretty lenient, but the second one is not so much. Lesmo 1, you want to hit just before the 50, keep it in third, and get a nice exit. Lesmo 2, again into third. Try and get that little bit of Astra on the inside, keep it in third, and get a really nice exit out of that corner. Having a good toe down the back straight is pretty good here. Probably gain like around 3 to 4 tenths of a second per lap. You get a really good toe. Coming to this corner here, I've forgotten the name, just before the 100, down into third. Try and get a little bit of that left curb, and then you want to ride the right curb here, and avoid that yellow and black curb on the left side. Don't do what Tombo is doing in front of him there. And then coming down to the Parabolica, I think Chris is backing out. Yeah, he's backing out. He's going to try and get some clean air.
Okay, alright, so obviously he might have made a couple of errors there on that lap and knew it was going to be a little bit slow, so he's pulled out. But first across the line at the moment is PLE Goat setting a 1:46.8. Apex Humper jumps in front with a 46.4. And Tombo's in third with a 47.1. Scooter 82 with a 47.1 also. Only 4 1/1000ths just behind Tombo there. KZ coming across with also a 47.1, Seckers 47.4, Captain Lowside 47.4, Dragon 47.7, DJ Stefko 47.8, and he's got himself a penalty there, unfortunately, DJ Stefko, 2.5 seconds, so he's going to have to probably jump out of this lap or slide away here to let Dragon out in front, and he'll continue the next lap. Dale's got himself a 49.4, obviously not his fastest lap there. Something must have gone wrong for him. And as we speak, he's up 1.6 coming into the second chicane. And Fixer Chris, as we mentioned earlier, had pulled out of his earlier lap now, starting on his hot lap for this qualifying session.
And
so yes,
also, go on.
No, go ahead.
There's also a couple of teams here where there's more than one driver in this lobby. Just not sure whether. Do you think that giving a teammate a tow around you might be beneficial? We've seen how important dirty air is around here, and how it can really cost you in the corners. But could it be made up on the straights?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it'll be a surprise if we don't see a little bit of teamwork in play here. You've got 2 very, very long straights, and you would want to take advantage of those to set yourself up for the beginning of the race and get yourself into the front couple of rows on the grid. Kazedra there just knocking off a penalty, as well as Captain behind him. So it looks like the guys...
Chris. He's about to come across. He was purple.
There we go. just passing the pin entry now. The times he's set. He sets a 46.4. Not bad.
Tenths too short.
And PLE Goat on his third lap there came through and did a 46.3, took the pole position, and Chris has just missed out with 2 tenths. But as you were mentioning there, is that I think we'll see a little bit of teamwork. At the moment, we've got the Dam guys closely together, but I can't see anybody else that's in working as a team. The only problem I can sort of see is that on the straights it's fine. It's getting into those corners where you've really got to pick your braking and make sure you don't put your teammate off, which was what we've seen a few times in the last couple of rounds. But it's definitely got the straights to pick up advantage with that slipstream. Right,
I think the first corner here as well is going to be seeing a lot of action. I'm safe to say the Shoes are going to have their work cut out for them for this round. There's also the sector chicane as well, which I think would also give us some reports. And there's also, you could also argue the penultimate corner, the last corner, sorry, where that could also put in some reports. But those 3 corners are a lot of passing opportunities.
Yep, and as Goat comes across for his 4th lap, he's got himself a half-second penalty. That one won't count. And he was off there by about 8 tenths. So he's gonna. It looks like he's not going to be able to better his time on the next lap either. He'll need to wash off that half-second. That's going to put him behind. And we're getting close to the end of the session now. They may have this lap, possibly another one left. But at the moment, it's looking like Goat is in first. 1 tenth back to Fixer Chris, 1 tenth back to Apex Humper, then 3 hundredths back to Seckers, who's now taken 4th position. DJ Stefko 100th back, Tombo 2 tenths back in 6th, Kazadro 2 hundredths off Tombo in 7th. We've got Adam in 8th, 2 hundredths back from Kazadro. Dragon 2 tenths off Adam in 9th. Scooter has fallen back to 10th position, a tenth and a half off Dragon, and we've got Dale then 3 tenths behind Scooter, and Dale's jumped into the pits there. He might have had an issue, and Captain is bringing up the field in 11th position at the moment, which will probably 10th if once Dale comes out, I believe, and he's sitting on a 47.4. So there's only 1.3 seconds covering the field at the moment, and it looks like a couple of the guys are struggling with penalties. It's going to be telling to see whether or not they can keep their cars clean for the 6 laps. Any kind of penalty will put you, if not mid-pack, right towards the back of the pack, and essentially do your race for the first race of round 4. What do you think, Pagani? Is there a potential for a lot of battling, do you think, or do you think that once they navigate that first chicane, they'll start to spread out?
No, I think they'll be battling throughout the entire first race, to be honest. Thankfully, with the first race, it's a very short lap, so we not have to be really concerned about our tyres, which is a bit of a breath of fresh air for some of the drivers. I think that way they can prioritise more on just trying to get the guy in front of them and defend the guy behind them. So I think we're going to be seeing action all the way through to the finish line here, which is great for the viewers.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point. 6 laps won't be enough to test the tyres or the fuel tanks. We should be hearing the cars rev all the way out, and the guys will be pushing those corners as far as they can with the cars. It'll be a case of who can keep it within the track limits to make sure they don't disadvantage themselves. But
they might be waiting for us to call time up here, lads. By the look of it, we're about 10-20 seconds away from that.
Yep, so pretty good.
Oh, there he goes anyway. He wasn't waiting, he was on it.
Alright, Dodgy, who are we on with?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get on with right at the back. We'll go to Adam. No, Tombo in 8th.
Tombo in 8th.
This is going to be a tricky start.
3, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, they're about to launch. Racing in Season 12, Round 4 of Wheel to Wheel on Monza, and the way they go, it looks like everyone got a pretty clean start. They're jostling now, trying to get themselves some slipstream before the first chicane, and it's looking pretty clean, but we'll find out if it remains alone.
Oh, a bit of bumping. Nothing too crazy. Dragon still managed to keep up with the pack, that's surprising. But pretty clean.
Yeah, that was pretty good from the guys, showing their craft there. Everyone being a little patient, knowing that it's only the first lap, going in 2x2, but making it around with limited contact, no one coming off the track, and no one impeding anyone. So it's a great start from the guys.
It's not over yet, still got the second chicane. How are we going to do over here?
Oh, there's been a bump out. Looks like...
Goat's going out.
Yep.
Goat.
Yeah, there was a little action behind him as well. Dragon got a little bit sideways. He got it back together again, but Kazadro and Dale couldn't get around him. And they've all now passed Goat. So Goat's got himself a mammoth task now to try to get himself back up to the front of the field.
I've got to say, mammoth is an understatement at this track. In a one make, if you drop out of that slip, I don't think six laps is enough to make it back.
Yeah, well, he looks like he's... we'll see how he goes after this left-right lefter. Well, we'll have to slow down and compress. He might be able to make some time back up, and he's made a 10th and he's now closing back up again. And it looks like he's regained the slip on Captain Lowside, but he's got 11 cars in front of him if he wants to try to make the position that he started the race in.
Some bit of contact down at Parabolica.
Yep.
I think that was DJ who got sent out a little bit wide.
Yep, it definitely was.
May have been a little bit unsettled by someone behind him.
Yep, and that now breaks the pack up now. We've got from 7th place back is one group, and then we've got 6th place forward is in the leading bunch at the moment. And Tombo goes up the inside. Oh no!
No!
He's managed to hang on to it, but there was a bit of carnage as Tombo tried to get through the cars there. I think he lost a little bit of traction. His left-hand wheels were both out on the grass, so he's done a great job to hold the car together and not actually unsettle anybody else, even though there was a little bit of contact there. Scooter's made his way back past Tombo, but that's stretched the lead from the first four to
Dragon's
these two.
gone for a full send. I think Dragon
It's
missing.
happened in the S's. There are cars everywhere.
I think what happened there was Dragon missed his braking marker and has sent it up on the inside and made contact with Tombo.
Well, up front, Fixer Chris has got himself 1 second lead, but he's also got himself a 3-second penalty. So this race is proving to throw out some surprises already. So no doubt that's going to send Fixer Chris well back to midfield. We'll see whether Apex Humper and Seckers and Adam V10 can make a breakaway of the first three as he comes up to the burn zone now.
Where they're going to set him back out. Fourth, and you'll probably get caught by Scooter as well, yeah. He might get challenged by DJ. Oh no, he's safe from DJ. So
that incident with Tombo and Dragon, did Dragon redress? They sort of fallen back?
No, unfortunately I don't think Dragon was able to redress from that one.
Yeah, he did come off the accelerator pedal, I noticed, and sat on the side, on the left-hand side just after the chicane. He may have realised that Tombo was too far back for him to hold up any longer, so it'll be interesting to see what the stewards make of that one. But he did make an attempt. Yep. Tombo now unfortunately finds himself 8 seconds behind PLE Goat and 15 seconds behind the race group, which is a long way behind, with just entering the third lap of the race. So poor Tombo, unfortunately, yes, has met the surprises that Monza brings.
It's rather unfortunate because he was doing actually kind of well until that incident happened, but hopefully he'll set himself up pretty well for race 2.
Yeah, so I wasn't on board with him, Pagani, so was it just misbraking there by Dragon? That
Yeah, it looked like Dragon was caught out by someone in front of him. I'm not sure who it was. He just dived to the inside, tried to find a gap, but unfortunately Tombo was there at the wrong place at the wrong time and was a poor victim of a really bad racing incident, in my opinion.
And just to rub salt into the wound, Tombo's now got himself a 1.5 second penalty coming through the centre S's.
It's a tricky track, and the faster you try to go, the more it dishes out. So it's one of those tracks where sometimes just being consistent is all you need to do. And Fixer Chris has just now made a move on Scooter and taken fourth position. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad at all up the inside of the Parabolica. He will find himself probably losing that position at the moment at the end of this straight. Scooter right in his toe, and he's just waiting for the right opportunity to dart out. Gives him another bump. We'll see whether or not he does. No, he backs off.
He's letting off. Oh, hang on. That was seconds he got reset.
Oh, yes, he must have. Oh, and he gives Stefko and Dale a bit of a tap as they try to get around.
I think Seckers was hit off the rear because he's got some damage.
Yes, he does actually. Yeah, there might have been a problem with the first three cars going into that into the first chicane off the straight.
It's interesting because no one else has damage on the front of their cars further up. It'll be interesting to see what happened there.
No, that is a little bit unfortunate for Seckers, but the damage does look like it. He's received a knock and has pushed him off track, but the track's reset him a fair way back now. He's in 8th position, but this is fantastic news for the Hexicans. They've got a 1-2 at the moment. They've got themselves just over a 7/10 lead from Fixer Chris, who's making his way back up to the group. The question will be whether or not there's enough time there for Fixer Chris to get back into the front. I'd imagine that Apex Humper is 1.4 seconds in front of Adam V10, and that may be a little too far for Chris, but he's coming up on the back of Adam V10 now, and if he doesn't make a move at the Parabolica, we should see something before the main straight first chicane.
He might line himself up for the first corner.
He's definitely within that slip, and it's close enough that I'd imagine that he'll try to make a move under brakes at the bottom of this straight.
Yeah,
So,
and not be surprised if Adam plays a team game and tries to hold Chris up a little bit.
Fixer Chris there setting the new fastest lap of a 45.79, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how the guys get around that fast. Gets a bit of a tap there from Adam as Adam let him through into the chicane, or he had the line, so Adam sort of backed off, but as they came out of the second part of the chicane, Adam got onto the accelerator a little earlier and better than Fixer Chris did.
He's back more. That is so hard, these two chicanes, though. You just have to back off one little bit, and it gives you the best run out, while the person that has got the lead out doesn't have the best run. So you do have to either back off or run the risk of tapping the guy in front. These are two of the hardest chicanes that we have to race, I reckon, all season.
Yeah, and Fixer Chris just tried to make a move there just after that second chicane to the right-hander, and it's a little bit odd actually. I don't know why he tried to make that move there, knowing full well they're about to jump up onto a straight. If he stays close enough, he'll get him under brakes and on the straight, so there's plenty of places to... Well, there's plenty of straights to pass on. You don't need to try to make a move on the corners, so it was a bit of an odd one there for me. I don't know why Chris just didn't back off there. Now, unfortunately, he's found himself a little bit further back than he would have liked. He's now 3.5 tenths back from Adam and too far away to potentially do anything in the Parabolica, but we may see another overtake at the end of the start-finish straight.
See how further back the pack is going. Goat still hasn't made much progress, unfortunately, from that incident. He's still languishing back in P10 behind Dragon and Seckers, who went off earlier.
Yep, and just checking on Tombo, he's still 8 seconds behind without the help or assist of a slipstream. He is finding it a little bit harder than the rest of the guys to keep that pace. So it's unfortunate for Tombo, but this is the final lap.
Oh, DJ's off.
Oh no!
I think he was battling with Dale there, and they tried to go too wide through the chicane, and on the exit, I think DJ got a little bit too unsettled.
Well, you got to feel for DJ Stefko. He has not had any luck in season 12. He's had a lot of biffos and crashes and penalties, and he just hasn't had the opportunity to show how quick he really is.
Got a little pack forming there around 8th. You've got Super Dragon, Goat, and KZ all trying to get to the pointy end of that
I was just looking
train.
there as well. Go tried to make a pass through other second he came. He had to back out a little bit.
Yeah.
This will be a good battle to the finish line, these three.
Giving no quarter, these guys.
So a quick update at the front. We've got Apex Humper now 2.6 seconds in front of Adam, who's now got half a second lead on Fixer Chris. Fixer Chris will get into the slip, I think. Yes, it looks like he is in the slip, but judging by the gap there, it looks like Adam's going to be able to hold on to second position unless something goes terrible at the Parabolica, and Chris will have to settle for a third place. As they come around the last corner now, Apex Humper slowing down there for some reason. I think he's got a problem with his pedal again, and he's just going to be able to make it across the line. I think fortunately it looks like he's got mechanical issues with his equipment.
Oh, and Go got dragging at the last corner. Very nice.
Okay,
Tombo
so
made it up a position to 11th over DJ.
Yeah, that would have been from when DJ lost it coming out of the exit of the first chicane the last lap.
That's a damn shame for the Team Dodgy Racing 180 Embroidery. He was going fairly well in the middle of that.
So congratulations there to Apex Humper, Adam V10 and Fixer Chris in third position. It was a little bit of a clean race. I think the guys may have undone, or their race may have come undone due to their own doing rather than the consequences of another driver. So that's the positions for the first race. Congratulations, guys. And now we've got the second race, which is a 25 lapper. There will be a stop for tyres. It'll be questionable as to whether they decide to go for one stop, two stops, or whether anyone's game enough to go for three with nothing but the soft tyres being the mandatory tyre. There will also need to be a splash for fuel. The fuel tank will not last the 25 laps. But before we get them underway, Dodgy, how about we have a word from a few of our sponsors?
Absolutely, gentlemen. I'll be right back.
Do you own a business needing new equipment? Or perhaps you're wanting a good set of wheels for that shiny new bike license? Maybe you're after that well-earned boat for retirement. Or you desperately need a new car or caravan for those family getaways? Get in touch with Jade Finance today.
And there we go, folks. Three of our awesome sponsors here at Wheel to Wheel. We had 180 Embroidery for Team Dodgy Racing. We had AMS Excavations for the damn Hexicans. And not only are they the team sponsor for Dragon's Den, but also the naming sponsor for this season, Jade Finance Australia. Thank you very much to all those guys, and over to you, Mid.
Thanks for that, Dodgy. Yes, we couldn't do what we do with the streams and the league without their assistance. We have a few more sponsors as well, and we'll just quickly run through them. We've got Hybrid Ag, who are also sponsoring Scuderia Quadrifoglio. Hybrid Ag is passionate about educating people about the importance of nutrient density and the significant beneficial impacts it can have on our health and the environment. They have people who apply this knowledge with a view to transform food quality as we know it today. To find out more information, head to their website, www.hybridag.com.au. And of course, our newest sponsor, sponsoring CP Motorsports, Permobil. At Permobil, their purpose is to innovate for individuals, to create advanced solutions that make their lives of the lives of people living with disabilities more enriched. Their dedicated team works tirelessly to make this happen. At Permobil, they are leading change. They see ability. To find out more about Permobil, head to their website, www.permobil.com. And that's it from the sponsors. Once again, thank you very much for the work that they do for us.
Awesome.
Okay, gents. So we are now looking down the barrel of a 25 lapper, and there will be the softs are the mandatory tyre. The mediums are also not the mediums. The hards are also required, but are not mandatory. I don't know whether or not we'll see anyone go without the hard tyre. It'll mean that they'll have to do a couple of stops. What do you think will happen there, Pagani?
I think it's going to be an 898 stop, or whichever way anyone wants to jumble it up. But it will definitely be a two-stopper. People could do a 988 or an 889 or an 898, like I said before. I definitely think it's going to be all softs, so I think the hard tyre is just not going to be a viable option around here.
Well, that's interesting because, 8 is still going to get you 24. It's questionable whether or not the tyres are going to last 9 the moment they go. The one thing I did notice on this when in practice, the moment the tyres went, there was absolutely no chance of controlling the car. The front will hold on for 9, possibly 10 laps, but the backs are the ones that deteriorate at a more rapid rate. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
What say we get these boys kicked off on their hot lap mid?
Okay, I'll send them out. And of course, for the second race, there's no 10-minute qualifier. The guys go out on an out lap, and then they have 1 lap to do a hot lap, and so it's essentially just 2 out laps, and the race will then begin. So we'll see how they go. Who's let us out of the field? We've got Scooter 82, who's out the front. Now, obviously this time around, they may not have been looking for slip previously, but if they can take any advantage from any of the drivers, whether they be teammates or not, we can be guaranteed we're going to see that happen, because there's only 1 lap to try to get yourself up front on the grid. Alright, as they go around, Scooter 82 and Captain Lowside are the first 2 out. Not too far behind them, we've got PLE Goat, also well within slipstream range, and just closing the gap there as well. Make sure he doesn't lose that slipstream from the first 2 cars. Adam is away back, not in the slipstream, but right behind him we've got Fixer Chris. He may be close as they get to the front of the track, but he's close enough now that he's in slipstream. And Apex Humper not in slip, Tombo not in slip, and Dale unfortunately has just come off the track and letting the rest of the field go by. And DJ Stefko now just passing him.
So we see if we want to do a hot lap, commentate over one of the drivers.
Yep, I reckon it'll be the front group. Oh no, Scooter's now gone past, so the front group's broken up. How about we stay with maybe Captain Lowside, who's right behind PLE Goat.
Yep. Do you want to take this one away, or do you want me to go again?
No, you go again, mate.
Alright, I've got to do better than the last time. Alright, so we're going to start our hot lap here. We're going to be watching Captain Lowside, who's in the tow of PLE Goat 13. With the tow, you might have to go up into top gear here, which is thick. He's backing off, which is rather odd. He might be just playing it safe here. Yep, braking just around the 125 mark down into the first gear. Be really gentle coming out of the exit of the first chicane. It's really a make or break for the entire track, in my opinion. It can cost you a good half a second if you don't get it well. Coming through Curva Grande into 6th. No, he's gone back down to 5th. Braking just after the 100 board, down into 2nd. Like last time, attack that first curb, take a little bit easier on the 2nd. Up into 3rd, into 4th, just before braking at the 50 board, down to the 3rd. A little bit of trail braking, let the car roll in just after the apex, and then hit the pedal. Into 4th, brake again, braking just before the 50, down to the 3rd. Attack that little green Astro on the inside. Up into 4th, still in the tow of Goat, which is pretty good. It's going to help his lap time. Up into 5th. And then coming just before the bridge here, you want to brake just at the 100, down into third. Really attack those 3 black and yellow sausages. Same on the right side. Miss the ones on the left side. If you do, it'll send you off wide. Up into 5th. Passing the penalty burn zone. Still in a tow of goats. It'll be really interesting to see what time he sets up here. Coming to Parabolica, braking just before the 50, down into third. Usually on the pedal just as you pass that second lamppost on the right, and all the way through. And we'll see if he comes right under the bridge. Yeah, he is. No, he's gentle with agreement, coming in pretty well there. That got him a 147.4, which is good enough for, at the moment,
Apex has jumped up. Chris, not quite.
No, there's been some mixed laps here, and as Dragon is now coming across the start-finish line, he's got himself a penalty, and his will be off quite a way there. You've got himself a 49. So yeah, a bit of an odd field this time round. We've got Apex, Fixer Chris, Goat, Captain Lowside, Seckers, Scooter 82, DJ Stepgo, Tombo, Adam V10, Dale, and Super Dragon is sitting in 12th at the moment, and will have some work to do if he wants to make his way up the field. So we're just waiting for the lobby host to kick this race off.
Doesn't look like anyone's jumping out to change tyres. I think we might be on the money here with all softs, gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'd be surprised if anyone jumped on the hards for the first stint. That would totally disadvantage them, and I think the guys here are smartly staying on the softs. Well, this will be interesting to see who can keep it together. 25 laps. I'm expecting to see a little bit of fuel save from some of the guys. Will give yourself an advantage going into the pit. Here we are. Dodgy, who are we on with?
Let's have a look back here. We'll go with Adam V10 in 10th.
I'm just waiting for the lights to come on. Lights are red. 3, 2, 1, ready to go. And they're off. Everyone again getting a pretty clean start. No one getting a massive advantage off the line. So they start to form a one line heading in. Scooter's the only one left out in his own. Now they start to separate.
Let's see if we're clearer than last time. Ooh, I think we're...
Oh, no. Is that Dale?
Oh, Tombo and Dale. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yep, I think Dale may have got a small touch there from someone, and that unfortunately led to him giving Tombo a small tap. So these guys now found themselves right at the back of the pack. Dale, trying to get the power down, has also gone off into the sand a second time, so he's now 6 seconds off the back of Tombo, who is 4 seconds off the back of Super Dragon. So Super Dragon, lucky enough that he's made up 2 positions after the very first corner, and he's in touch with the pack as they start to form a single file and move around the track. Well, this will be interesting. Sorry, mate, go ahead.
Obviously, it's still a very long race. Anything can happen for DJ and Dale, so hopefully they're not. Hopefully their heads are still high for these ones.
Yeah, Pagani, and that's too true. It is a long race, and from what we saw earlier in race 1, as the tyres wear, we can expect to see these guys, if they're trying to make a position up, they may push the car a little too hard, and we may see penalties actually deciding the format of the race rather than the driver's skill. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that doesn't come to be. But yes, as those tyres start to push off or start to degrade, we will see driver error creep into their driving. So yeah, patience here is going to be the name of the game.
Strangely enough, we just saw Chris make a move coming out of the final corner on Apex. He's now in first. I thought he might have chosen to stay back there. I know he's been quick all week, but Chris has just been leaving everyone for dead. Maybe he's gambling on Apex having a few pedal problems.
Yeah, it's just not a bad shout. Obviously, with fuel, it's pretty important around here. Try and get a good tow. You can probably jump the guy in front of you in the pits, depending on how much fuel you save. But yeah, I think that's a pretty valid point you've raised. Maybe Apex's pedal problems might hinder Chris more than what it might benefit him by staying behind.
Yeah, that's dead right, and we all know that Chris is fantastic on the fuel save. So even though he is out that far, I would not be surprised when they do the first round of pit stops that Chris finds himself with a little bit more fuel than anybody else. So yes, it looks like his strategy at the moment is get out there and do fast laps and put some distance between himself and the rest of the field. And after saying that, he's already got himself just under a second lead. So he is pushing the car.
Absolutely. Behind him you have two of our most recent champions. You've got Apex, who I think, did he go 3 for in the driver championships? He might have gone from memory 3 seasons, and Goat was last season's champion. So between those two there, they may be able to team up and catch Chris, but it is going to be a tall order.
Yep, and just behind PLE Goat and Apex Humper, Kazadro is sitting back there just waiting for something to happen, but well in the slipstream, and is in touch with this leading pack. Sekis is now also just a half a second off Kazadro, but now he's closed right up, so it's a pack of 5 now up at the front. Make that a pack of 6. Captain's right there, and Scooter's not too far off behind him as well. 0.8 of the second, just behind Captain Lowside in 7th position at the moment, trying to make inroads into this leading pack. But that's a pretty big leading pack at the moment. 6 cars up the front in the front group.
Yeah, and you've still got 7th and 8th who are still somewhat in the tow range. It could potentially go up to 8 drivers if Adam and Scooter can keep up with the pack in front.
Yep, and Adam is definitely not out of it. Dragon, unfortunately, is now just under 2 seconds off the back of Adam and really starting to fall off the pack there. Tombo is right on his tail and will be looking to make a pass, probably not into the next corner onto the left-hander, but probably at the end of the straight. Now, there must have been something that happened to Stefko there. Oh,
yeah, I've just picked up on that as well. That's recent. Whatever's happened to him.
Yep, he's sitting in last position at the moment, 2.5 seconds off Dale, so something happened.
And he's also lost it through Ascari. He dropped down to 10.
Wow. Tombo now making
for 8.
Yep, Tombo making a move there on Dragon and gets it done in the Parabolica. And I should say that Dragon will probably get him back if he can stay in his slipstream at the bottom of this straight. So we'll have to wait and see, but yes, it looks like Kazadro has fallen quite a way back. Was that a penalty or was that contact?
No, it was before the penalty zone, so something happened into Ascari. We didn't see it live, but we just saw the aftermath of him dropping off at the exit of Ascari. Okay.
Well, without having Kazadro in 4th position now, the gap between 3rd and 4th has just pushed out to 1.3 seconds. So the leading group is starting to pull away. They're all within close to or just over a half a second of each other. And then there's a second and 3/10 back to Captain, who's trying to hang on to this pack. Scooter 82 finds himself 2 seconds off now, so this front pack that was a pack of 6 is really starting to break up now, and there is distance between the cars. You can say goodbye to any kind of slipstream that you wanted to have. They're on their 4th lap at the moment, and as I look at the tyres, I'm just trying to see if anyone has an advantage over anybody else.
Probably Goat might have the best tyres.
Yeah, I think the first 3 guys are looking relatively similar. Captain's tyres look a little bit more worn than the first 3. And Scooter and Adam V10 don't look too bad. Adam actually gave Scooter a bump there before that, before this straight, rather than doing an overtake. So his idea is sit behind and potentially conserve fuel.
Yeah, and I think the driver with the most amount of fuel is probably Apex, and least would probably be Gale at the moment. I think he's just trying to try a bit of a giddy up and hopefully catch up to the pack.
Yeah, so the field has definitely started to thin out at the moment. They're all with the exception of the leading pack, who are all half a second between them. The rest of the pack now is between 1.5 seconds and 2.5 seconds between each other. And once again, the exception there is Adam and Scooter, who are only 0.3 off each other. Scooter being in 5th, Adam in 6th. Sekis just under a second behind those guys, and Tombo 1.5 behind Sekis. Dragon has now dropped off the back of Tombo, a second and a half, so he may be finding it a little difficult to keep the pace up. But once again, as the tyres fall off, the times will start to drop, and so your main focus will be not only trying to keep the pace in the car and the momentum, but also making sure that you don't exceed the track limits and give yourself a penalty, which will drop you further back down into the pack.
While we're at it, I'd like to throw a shout out and a welcome back to one of the lads out there in YouTube land, Zedi, who has confirmed for me that it was 3 straight wins for Apex. Thanks for that, Zedi. And good to see you back, buddy. Zedi has joined us back in the league just this week, getting ready for the season 13 that will start the new year, so it's going to be great to have him back on track.
Welcome back, Zedi.
Always great to see unfamiliar faces come back to the league.
It's just in the Parabolica at the moment. We've got Kazadra, who's made quite a bit of taken quite a bit of time out of Super Dragon, and is now well in his slip and potentially will be making a move at the end of the straight, the start-finish straight. So he's made his way back and will possibly take 9th position here under brakes. As he darts out.
I think it's a decent battle here going between 5th and 6th.
Yep.
Scooter and Adam. They've been almost behind each other the whole time for the last 3 or 4 laps.
Yes, well, I think that group at the moment, Captain's Lowside's the only one that's out on his own at the moment, but we've got a group at the front, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, which is Fixer, Chris, Apex Humper and Peely Goat. Adam on his own, and then we've got the second battle group, which is, as you just mentioned, Pagani, Scooter 82, Adam V10, Sekis starting to close the gap between to those guys. Tombo also starting to make moves, and coming up behind them is Kazadro. So in a couple of laps we might see that there might be a group of 5 here. It's if they don't come into pit, but how about we have a bit of a guess as to when we think they might come into pit. The tyres aren't looking too bad, they're about half worn on the back. Fuel is not a consideration at this point in time, but it's just a case of whether or not...
I think we'll start seeing people come in on the 9th lap, and they'll probably do the last 2 sets of 8 at the end, where there's a little bit less fuel in the car and you can really push the tyres a bit more.
Yes, I'm just keeping an eye on DJ Stefko, and I can't help but think that he may have had a penalty or another spin, but he's dropped back even further now. He's 15 seconds behind Dale, or nearly 16 seconds. So yeah, he's a fair way off the back of the racing pack at the moment. So fortunately it looks like a bit more bad luck there for DJ Stefko.
We'll see if Adam puts a move on Scooter here for 5th. No, he's going to back out, stay behind him. Might be benefiting a lot by staying behind Scooter.
Yes, exiting that chicane, I find it really hard trying to get the power down and also straightening the car, getting the nose to straighten up so you can put the power down. It's one of the hardest corners to get right after coming down, flying down the straight to wipe off all that pace and then keep the car stable and centered to get around that corner. Well, Sekis is now right on the back of this group here. He's only half a second off Adam, who's only 3 or 4 tenths off the back of Scooter. So this battle pack now starting to form, and Tombo has closed that gap down to 1.2 seconds. I'd imagine it won't be too long before he finds himself right on the tail on the end of this group.
Yeah, and I think now we're going to start seeing how everyone's tyre, where it's going. I think the difference is a lot greater now. Like if we compare Scooters to 2 cars back where Sekis is, there's a pretty significant tyre difference between the 2 of them.
Yep, I must admit that I'm quite surprised. Their tyres are looking devilishly good for just about to enter the 8th lap, so they would be able to get at least another easy one, possibly two. Depends how far they want to go. Not all the guys are the same. I think it's the rear left wheel which will be the problem for most of the guys, which is probably the highest usage for this particular track. Whether or not it can last for the 10 laps, or whether or not 9 will be enough. I'd hazard a guess that 9's probably. You don't want to push them any further than 9. Get yourself on a new set of soft tyres and get back out there again. Oof.
Unfortunately, Apex has picked up a 1 second penalty. I think on the lap prior. Not sure where he picked it up on the last lap, but he'll lose second place to go, and he might get troubled slightly by Cap. That's not before he bins it, coming out of the second chicane and losing that position.
Yep, Goat just went past him there, so he won't have to wait for the penalty to be burnt. He's already picked up the second position there, and Apex Humper will want to stay as close as he can until he gets that burn zone. So Fixer Chris now starting to pull away from second and third. He's got himself a 1.8 second gap, and he's not looking too bad for fuel. I think he's on par with both Goat and Apex Humper. I can't see that the tyres would last after this next corner, this next right-hander. Yeah, you'd think so, Dodgy. You'd be a brave man to go around with that much left.
Yeah, Scoot A2's rear left tyre is has seen better days. Put it like that. Only a slither of white left on that tyre.
Okay, and here they come. Our first 3 runners are into the pits. Captain's in as well, and I'd expect that we'll see the whole field, and it looks like that everyone is coming in for a change of tyres. No one getting any kind of advantage, just looking at the fuel there. And as we talk, Fixer Chris was at 58, so that was a pretty good, unless that was the refill level.
No, I think he came in with 50.
Okay, so it was just put a splash in. Okay.
Yeah, just not to get to the end of this bit.
Yep, and it looks like Fixer Chris has put in the least amount of fuel from our top 3. Goat put in a little less than Apex. Apex probably looks like he's put in more than the first and second runners at the moment, so he's found himself now nearly 3 seconds behind PLE Goat after the burn and the pit stop. So he's got a bit of work to do. He's 4.8 seconds behind Fixer Chris, so there's still a way to go in this race. We're only on lap 9. We would expect to see, if they continue on this particular pattern, we expect to see them come back in on lap 17 or 18. But not much to report at the moment. Scooter 82 has closed the gap to Captain Lowside, now sitting just under 0.6 of a second behind Captain as they come down before they enter the back end straight. And right on his tail is Adam V10, and they close the gap there to Captain, so it's a group of 3 there. And Sekis has now passed Kazadro, and he's got himself a 1 second break, so I'm not quite sure why that was. I'll just quickly check. No, I think there may have been a problem there for... oh no, Kazadro I think is making his way back through the field, so Sekis was the front runner out of these two.
Yeah, it's interesting that that Sekis has kind of just driven away from KZ. That they are on the same team, but usually I'm drafting around a track like Monza is pretty beneficial. So yeah, it's odd to see KZ and Sekis not really working together to try and catch up to 6th, 5th and 4th.
Yep, so Tombo is now coming up to the back of KZ and has closed the gap. He will find himself in a competitive position. Oh no, he's gone in a little too deep there and now has lost all that advantage as the gap now blows out by about 3/10. And
that's on you, mid. Commentator's curse.
Commentator's curse.
Well, lucky they call it commentator's curse, because if we weren't commentating, it'd just be streaming of racing with no commentary, which would make for a boring event. So my apologies there. Apologies there for Tombo.
Got to remember too, Tombo is one of the few in this lobby possibly the only one in this lobby actually on controller. Everyone else is on a wheel, so he's going to find it very hard with the tyre wear around this track. Although he is a master of making the tyres last on the controller, but yeah, he'd definitely be doing it tough around this track.
Well, he won't be doing it tough for too much longer. In a couple of seconds, Casadra has just got himself a 1.5 second penalty, which will be more than enough for Tombo to pass him down the back straight, and Tombo will make his way into 8th position and see whether or not he can't actually close the gap now down to Sekas as he passes right now.
Yeah, and I think KV might also get rounded up by Dragon approaching the Parabolica. Be right on him.
Yep, he's close enough. He's close enough to get slipped down the main straight, so we'll see whether or not Dragon has an opportunity to do anything at the bottom of this straight, or whether or not he sits back and bides his time.
I'm surprised he's not a lap down at the moment. Usually his pace, he's usually in the 2-minute 5 range. Dragon, but he's doing well today. He must have taken one too many monster drinks. Maybe
all right, I'll make a note there for the viewers that that commentator's curse coming from me is purely accidental, where Pangani is dishing it out purposely.
Willing it to happen. He's willing it.
That's right. All right, let's do a quick recap. We've got Fixer Chris out the front, up by 9/10 back to PLE Goat, who is slowly starting to close the gap. I think Chris had a 1.3 second gap, so PLE Goat has made some inroads there. Apex Humper has fallen way off the first two runners now. He's 4 seconds off those guys. Captain Lowside is now 4.5 seconds off Apex Humper, but right on his tail at the moment we have Adam V10. And Adam will be well within slipstream range on the back straight here to try to make a move into Parabolica. Just behind those guys, we've got half a second back. We've got Scooter at 82, and then almost 3 seconds back to Sekas. And Tombo 1.7 seconds behind Sekas after Casadra had to burn that penalty, has moved him behind Tombo 1.6 seconds. And then we've got Dragon 0.7 of a second behind Casadra at the moment. Nothing eventuated from slipstream from the previous lap. Dale Teeks is 4 seconds back from Super Dragon, and DJ Stefko is 15 seconds rear of Dale Teeks, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's still a very good battle. You know, we're 12 laps into the race, and like we've always been going on for the entirety of race 2, 4th, 5th, and 6th have been pretty close together for the probably the entire durality of this race, which is really good. Gives me and Madridsky and also Dodgy to something to talk about when the boring part comes around. But yeah, it's pretty good so far. Chris is still pulling away from Goat. He's got a 1.2 gap. He might be looking at trying to tyre conservation and maybe fuel preserve for this stint. Hopefully try and get a bigger jump in the pits.
I do think he has been playing with Goat a bit there, because they were back to like 8 or 9 tenths, and I was wondering whether Chris was trying to save and conserve, but then Goat must have got a bit close for him, because he put the hammer down and got about 2 or 3 tenths out in front of him. So I think there's a bit of cat and mouse going on here from Chris.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing there, Dodgy. As they went into the second chicane there, I saw the gap come down to 0.6 and then blew straight back out to 0.1. So yeah, I don't know whether Chris is just playing nursery rhyme music in his car while he's looking in the rearview mirror, but it does seem to be going up and down. It could have been a Goat mistake, of course, maybe powered out a little too late or got a little bit of a spin, but yeah, it does look like these guys are looking like they're going to stay like this for the majority of the race. We'll see whether or not, with the second pit stop, whether or not there's any kind of strategy with fueling that may bring that gap down.
How are they looking on comparison with fuel and tyres, the front two?
Let's see. So I would probably say that Goat has a little bit more tyre wear compared to Chris, and I think he's also carrying a little bit more fuel compared to Chris as well. I
can't tell fuel for me looks almost the same, but yeah, I agree with you, is that the tyre wear from from Goat looks to be a little bit more, especially on the left-hand side, of course. But yeah, and now that gap is just about, it's up to 1.3, just about to go into 1.4. Goat there had a couple of spins coming out of the second chicane, so he's lost himself a bit of time there.
Yeah, and when you're in a dirty air, you do have to push the car a little bit harder, to turn it a little bit more to try and get it where you'd usually have it if you're in the clean air. So obviously that plays a factor on your tyre wear, so that's probably another reason why Goat's tyres is a little bit more worn compared to Chris's.
Yep, and just looking at their lap times, both Fixer Chris and Goat are both consistently in the 46, mid 46s. Goat pulled off the fastest lap 2 laps ago with a 46 flat, but their lap times seem to be on par with each other at the moment. No one does seem to have a distinct advantage, and looking back to Apex Humper, he's also in the mid 46s as well. So, but he has brought the gap down from 4.5 down to 3.7, so that could well be the increase between Fixer Chris and Goat. I can't tell whether or not the actual distance between Apex Humper and Fixer Chris has actually increased. I'll have to keep an eye on it. It's at 5 seconds at the moment.
Well, back in fourth, we've got a great little war going on here between Captain Lowside and Adam V10. When I say war and battle between these two, they were teammates last season. They were actually shared drivers last season. So they drove the same car, took alternate rounds in the same car for the same team. Good mates, and they've always raced well together. They lead and follow so well, this pair. I'm wondering when Adam's going to have a stab, or if he's going to keep pushing him around. We'll have to wait and see.
There's a bit of a commentator's curse there. Captain running a little bit too deep coming to the second chicane.
Yeah, it was just a little too close to the back of I think Adam was a little bit too close to the back of Captain there, so just looking back at the field, and I've just noticed that Dale's dropped a little ways off, probably 2 to 2.5 seconds off the back of off Dragon, and the gap between Dale and DJ Stefko has now been reduced to 11.8 seconds. So I think that there's a small mistake there from Dale. It's let DJ Stefko wipe a couple of seconds off that lead that he's got.
DJ Stefko's race at the moment seems very similar to most of mine that have been in practice this week. It's very lonely running at the back, and I do feel for you, man. And it is really hard on this track to get your head back in the game. Once you lose it on one corner, it tends to screw you up for the next few. It's hard to get your rhythm back. You get lost in that, how the heck am I ever going to catch these guys? It's tough, so keep up, Stefko. I'm sure you can finish this. Just wait for all the mistakes that are going to happen in front of you.
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. And I'll ask a question of yourself, Dodgy and Pagani. Are we a little bit surprised that there doesn't seem to be as much competition? Is it the track, do you think? What might be the reason for it? It does seem the cars are fairly well distanced, and unlike the first 3 rounds, it doesn't look like there's much to be looking at in the way of competition at the moment.
I think it's down to the cars, to be honest. Obviously, some cars have, with the other rounds that aren't where the Porsche is the one make. You have cars like the Ford Mustang competing with a car like the McLaren. 2 very opposite cars. One does love to go around corners, the other one loves to just maul it down the straights. And I think just like an example like that would make for a good race. You can also throw it down to Monza, the track as well. Some drivers opting to not make passes down to the first corner or down to Parabolica rather than just bump drop their way through and save a little bit on fuel and tyres. I think that kind of takes away from the excitement of the race, but we're still seeing a couple of good little moments here and there. We've still got 4th and 5th, I believe, who are still somewhat close to each other. And then we've got the long game up ahead with Goat and Chris.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you a bit there, Pagani. Just as we saw Adam finally make a move on Cap, he's almost a second out on him already. But I think a lot of it has to do with this track and this car. This track is very hard, especially in one make, very hard to overtake. The only real overtaking points you have are through slip after the straights, and then it comes down to gamesmanship, because if you get one guy this lap, he's going to stick behind you and get you the next lap. So you've got to take into account the gamesmanship. Are you going to stick behind him? Are you going to save a bit of fuel? Do you wear tyres harder than the other guy? Because the dirty air on these Porsches is terrible, and it does make you wear your tyres even more. So sometimes it helps to pull back a bit. All this has to be taken into account, which makes these a very interesting driver race. It may not look like all that much is happening on this screen, but I can tell you those drives are going through it. As Adam has gone wide and he's lost 3 positions, Cap is just rubbing his hands together going through there. I wouldn't be surprised if Tombo catches up to Adam very shortly.
Yes, it was a bit unfortunate there for Adam V10. He just got a little bit wide into that into the right-hander and went off to the left, and now it could well be his tyres. He's gone off again.
Yeah, dirty tyres.
Oh, yep. Oh, and he's lost 2 more positions there. He's trying to keep it together and out of the way. His fuel gauge is flashing at the moment. His tyres weren't too bad. They were a lot better than Captain Lowside's. But yeah, that little off, unfortunately, has been costly for him. So just after us talking about not being much competition on the track, there's a major incident that's taken third place and pushed them right to the back of the field. Now, I will mention that we're seeing a couple of the guys come in for the second pit stop. I'm noticing a few of the guys are not only flashing on the fuel gauge, but I'm looking at their tyres, and I'm not exactly sure that they're going to get around a full lap with the wear that they currently have. And the first one I'll mention is Captain Lowside. His left rear is looking very, very close to gone. The same for Sekas there, and Tombo's is even worse than the first 2 guys there. Yeah, so these guys, I believe, are going to struggle towards the back end of this particular lap.
Apex has gone for the undercut, which is very interesting. Usually most guys, like you can see everyone else here, is doing their 9-lap stint in the middle. So that means Apex is going to have tyres exactly like these guys have them now on the last lap of the race, where they're all going to have a lap younger tyre and they're going to have much more attacking ability. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out for him.
Yeah, that may have been a strategic move, given that he'd fallen back into 3rd position with quite a few seconds between himself and 1st and 2nd. He may have decided that it wasn't going to help him at all to pit on the same lap, and coming in a lap earlier may provide him with an advantage. We'll have to wait and see at the end of this lap to see whether or not that 3.5 seconds to Goat has been reduced. But now we're starting to see the rest of the field, and Goat comes in on 0, Fixer Chris on 1. I don't know whether he crawled in there or whether he powered in, but that's good good use of his fuel.
We'll just hop on with Apex and we'll see where he comes out in relation to all the rest as they file out of the pits.
It's good for me as well to also see what these guys do with the strategy, because I have no idea what strategies to do for race 2. So good for me and possibly Madritsky and maybe even Dodgy ourselves to look at what they're doing and see what strategy works the best.
I can honestly say Pagani, as we see Apex come across the start finish, but Goat and Fixer are already out. He's come out in 3rd. I can honestly say that no matter what these aliens in Div 1 do, I cannot emulate it anyway.
I think we're on the same boat.
I can watch them do amazing stuff and I just go, yeah, no, that's not for me. I'm happy to cruise around in Div 2.
I'll just stay back a second behind. It's okay.
Well, I was just about to second what Dodgy said there. I don't know if I can make the tyres last for as long as these guys have, so I don't know whether or not this strategy is the one that I'll be using.
I'll tell you what, Fixer and Goat have come out all guns blazing though. They've been very close. Can you tell me how they're doing on fuel, guys? Can you see? Did one underfill? Because I don't think Goat was that close coming into the pits.
No, but Goat does have a tad more fuel than Fixer Chris at the moment, so
I'd say a pixel or 2 more of what Chris has, to be honest. It's very minimal.
Yep, and that may well be an advantage for him, especially down the straights. He'll be able to let that car rev out in each gear a little bit longer before changing gears, and making advantage of not only the slipstream but a little bit more of the power of the car as they come into Parabolica now. Just trying to stay within the slip.
Starting to look a little like last week. I don't know if you guys, was it last week or the week before? Sorry, the week before.
Daytona. Yeah, Daytona.
Yep, when the finish between these guys was like, what was it, half a metre? It was an awesome race. So these guys are back at it again. I think they're definitely two to keep an eye on this season.
Well, as he tries to make a move.
Oh, but Chris has got the inside. Is there going to be a touch? Yeah.
Oh, that was close. He did well there. Goat did very well to keep it off the sand there, and also not lose any time back to Fixer Chris. Fixer Chris did a fantastic job there. Let Goat have the inside line, and then he had his car positioned for the next inside line and took the position back. So that's great display of driving there, and a good lesson for everyone watching in the lower divisions that you don't need to push on every single corner. You just need to make sure you know how the car's going to behave and where you're going to be positioned.
Yeah, and thanks to Chris and to Goat to always being able to give us commentators something to talk about within Top Split. When we're watching drivers like Dragon, who kind of just cause a bit of a snooze fest for us, it's always good to see. It's always good to see Goat and Chris riding up the viewers' days.
Yeah, and look, you've got, sorry to interrupt, I was going to say you've got Scooter and Seckers back there having a little bit of a tussle as well, back in 5th and 6th. Knowing Seckers, he's not happy with 6, he wants in front of Scooter, hell, he wants in front of Fixer. He's going to push it right to the very end.
Yes, I was just going to say, Pangani, in Wheel to Wheels history, I don't think there's ever been a steward report on the commentators, but I think you're trying your best to make sure that this is the first week.
I'm treading on a very thin line here, and don't you worry, I've read the COC, I know the limits.
Here we go. Goat now trying to take the inside. Chris is holding his line, he goes on the outside. Oh, they go in again. Goat just a little under an oversteer there and couldn't keep it together. But it doesn't look like Fixer Chris wants to relinquish that position, and he feels as though if he does, it may be a disadvantage to him. So he's made a decision that he wants to stay out in front. And Dodgy, just going back to your comment about the same thing that happened at Daytona 2 weeks ago with the Porsches, where Goat took Fixer Chris right on the line with half a metre between the cars. I think that that's going to be a little bit harder to do here. He's going to have to make the move on the back straight and keep it into Parabolica. There's just not enough straight between the end of Parabolica and the start-finish line. So if Goat wants to try to do a similar move, it's going to have to be on this back straight.
Yeah, it'll definitely have to be on the inside as well. I think going around the outside of Parabolica, you might get washed out a little bit too much compared to the inside line. So lap 25, it would be good to see what happens between these two. But as for now, they're doing a very good job at entertaining the viewers and giving us something to really love to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Goat has got a very, well, I hate to use the word wise race head on him. He is the youngest member in Wheel to Wheel. Youngest champion ever at 17. So look, I wish him the best of luck. I know Chris has been lightning here all week, and I haven't seen too much of Goat on this week to know how he's been doing. But at the moment, I wouldn't put a bet on either of these guys. I wouldn't know who to bet on.
And while we were focusing on the battle at the front of the race, Seckers has made his way past Scooter 82. Scooter 82 now on the front, straight in the slipstream and backs off. Doesn't try to go around Seckers. Now I do notice that between the two guys, Seckers' tyres are a lot better than Scooter. Can either of you gentlemen remember if they both came in on the same lap?
I believe they did. I definitely believe they did come in on the same lap.
Okay, all right. Well, Scooter's tyres are looking a lot more worse for wear than Seckers at the moment, so fingers crossed Scooter can finish the race with what he's got left.
Well, I can't imagine this battling up the pointy end either is helping these boys' tyres at all. I know they don't have to quite conserve like Apex, but looking at Apex, he's already picked 2 seconds up off on them. He was about 7 seconds behind them when they came out of the pits. So sooner or later they're going to have to go, do we want to keep battling and risk it all, risk it for the biscuit, or do we just want to make sure we finish the race?
Oh no. Adam now just about to pass KZ, who's had a bit of an incident there.
I think what happened with KZ, he just got a little bit too early on the last pedal and ran a bit wide, caught the outside grass and then fishtailed it back in and put in rapidly time.
So just going back to what Dodgy was saying about tyres and the battle for first and second and Apex Humper making time, I can report that Apex Humper's tyres are looking a lot worse than the front two guys. He came in 1 lap earlier, and so the longer this race goes, I'm expecting to see his lap times drop off, and after saying that, his last lap was a 46.2, which was an absolute cracker, and 0.5 to 0.3 quicker than the guys at the front. You're dead right there, Dodgy. He's making inroads, but he's burning his tyres in doing it.
Goat's giving him a bit of a tap.
He got a little bit squirrely there coming into the corner. I thought for a second his right-hand tyres were about to touch the grass just under braking, but he's done great to keep it all together. Now the car's really starting to slide into those corners. They just need to wash a little bit more speed off. Unfortunately, that's going to decrease your lap speed, but in doing so, you're going to conserve your tyres a little bit longer. Last thing you want to do is get to the last lap with absolutely no traction. It doesn't matter what lead you've got, you will start to lose time at a rapid pace.
And we're seeing Goat here dancing on the line of toe and no toe with Chris, 0.003 of a second. Only just now getting outside of the toe range, that magical 1 second number. So he's gonna have to put in a little bit of work here in the last corner here to try and stay in the range of the toe coming down the main straight.
Yep, and Apex Humper is now under 5 seconds and still starting to make inroads to these guys up the front. But as I said, the longer the laps go and the tyres wear, we should start to see his lap times decrease. And I'll eat my head again because he's just under 46.1. He's just going quicker. So he's doing a great job with the worn tyres he's got, and unfortunately the lead for Apex is not dropping as quickly as he would like to see. He's just knocked off 0.4 of a second there in that corner.
Back in fourth and fifth, we've got Seckers now harassing Cap. He got past Scooter a couple of laps ago, and like I said, he wants in front of Chris. He doesn't just want to settle for in front of Scooter, so he is giving Cap a hurry along.
So with 2.5 laps left, I can see that Captain and Seckers tyres are almost identical. If anything, Captain has a little less fuel, but I don't think it's going to become into play at all. With 2.5 laps to go, it'll come down to their tyres. Scooter has really dropped off this group now, coming up to 1.5 seconds, and then 3.2 seconds back to Tombo. And so the field is now really starting to distance, and there's not too many groups forming at the moment. If there are any, it's probably towards the back of the field, with the exception of the front two guys.
Yeah, we're seeing Dale slowly get onto the rear of KZ, KZ is also not too far back from Drag. He's outside of the toe by 1 seconds. So hopefully we might see a three-way battle between 11th and 9th.
Yep, KZ's done a 154 on his 21st lap, so he's had an issue somewhere on that lap. It may have been a penalty, but he's lost nearly 8 seconds on that lap alone, which has allowed Dale to catch right up and potentially be in a position to actually gain a spot before the end of this race. DJ Stefko, unfortunately, on his 21st lap, did a 2-minute 1, and he's now sitting 27 seconds off the back of the field. So another weekend for DJ Stefko that he'll be happy it's over and he can pack away and just think about next week's race.
Yeah, obviously there's drivers like Tombo as well who you could arguably say lucked out a little bit with the first and second race. But I think with the first race between Tombo and Dale, Tombo came out
He
a
goes
little
second
bit
with
better.
a move. Up in fourth, he's made it, and he takes Cap through the second chicane.
Very nice move.
Captain looking to come back at him. Oh, he's got a little wide there. Looks like Seckers may well hold out this position with 1.5 laps to go. It's a case now of who can get the most out of their tyres, given that there's not much of their tyres left on the rim. So, and up front we can report that Fixer Chris has now put distance between himself and Goat with 1.8 second lead. Goat may have just resigned himself to the fact that he's not going to be able to catch. His fuel light is now flashing. He should have enough in there to make another lap. He may have to back off on some of the corners. Fixer Chris is in the same position. Apex coming through with heaps of fuel in the tank. Can't help but think that he probably put more in there than he needed to. We'll have to wait and see whether or not his rear left holds out for this lap being the final lap, as they all now start to come around the parabolica into their final lap of this race.
Yes, and I do think Fixer may possibly be the new Elvis. He has left the building. He is on his way. He's out of the driveway. He is just almost onto the motorway to the next state. He's gone.
Yes, he's just under 2 seconds now. It'll be 2 seconds after the end of this second chicane, which it is. So yes, he's really starting to blow away, and it doesn't look like he's going to be challenged by Goat. So that's another well done job by Fixer Chris. Another great drive to get himself up front and take the pressure off himself with half a lap to go.
Yeah, he's done a very good job to hold on with the pressure that Goat was providing a couple laps prior, especially in the first corner when there was a little bit of contact, but nothing too major. So yeah, he's done a really good job there to avoid to come under pressure that Goat was giving him.
Yep, so I'm just looking at Apex Humper's rear right, and I've got a really bad feeling that it may not make the parabolica. I think it might give halfway round. There is a strand of white left on the back, and as he's going around this right-hander, whatever is there will disappear. Hopefully it... there it is, it just went then. And, no!
Commentator's curse.
No, I predicted it. That's different.
Oh, what's he going to do? Is he going to back up to the line? He's going to back it up to the line.
Oh no! You should have just...
you
should have just spun it round. It's unfortunate for Apex.
No.
But as I said earlier in the stream, is the moment the tyre goes, there is absolutely no traction, and because most of the corners are high-speed sweepers, it's very difficult to try to keep your car on the track, which was the case there. The rest of his rear disappeared halfway around the parabolica, and unfortunately caused a small spin there for Apex, who's fallen from 3rd to 7th.
It seems to be a damn thing. I do recall Adam finishing a race in reverse at, it wasn't Dragon, Deep Forest this season. Would have been, was that the second race of the season? Pretty sure he'd come together with Cap towards the end and crossed the line in reverse. So definitely a damn thing. As Stepco comes across to finish it off. In style, of course.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of race 2. Congratulations, Fixer Chris, PLE Goat, and Seckers, who managed to grab 3rd position there with the unfortunate spin from Apex Humper. And, well, gents, I don't know what you thought about that, but I'm not looking forward to getting in the car in the next half hour.
No, neither am I.
I think I need all the help I can get. It's going to have to be quick. We need to get the hell out of here so I can get in and get some practice in. But in saying that, I'd love everyone that's out there watching at the moment to smash that like button. Get that stream out there to all you can. Share it out there if you're on Facebook and you're watching it on Facebook or on YouTube. Next week, well, actually 7:30 tonight, you can come and catch us Mid and I will be attacking this track again in the Porsches in Div 2. Not quite as good as these guys, I must say. Well, for me anyway, not you, Mid. I won't speak for you, buddy.
I think you have.
Next week is the first of, for the first time ever with Wheel to Wheel, one of 2 Super Enduros. It is at Interlagos, and it is a special round for us. It matches the F1 round next week, and so we have F1 liveries for the round as well. It is going to be an awesome week next week, so make sure you tune in.
Yes, it definitely will. Thanks, Dodgy, for doing the comms. Pagani, thanks for joining me in the comms box.
It's always a pleasure.
Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Jade Finance Australia, AMS Excavations, 180 Embroidery, Hybrid Ag, and Permobile. And as Dodgy said, we will catch you next week at Interlagos in Brazil. Until then, have a good weekend.
There you
Good
guys.
night.